Hello, welcome to today's edition of the Citizens Chat Show on Civic Space TV. I am Phillip Muliisa. Today, we have a cocktail of topics to talk about. One is the mess that came out from the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda through the Uganda Parliament exhibition on X. Two, we shall be talking about contradiction and conflicts in political parties in the country, but also since we are towards Women's Day in the world, we shall have a conversation about the International Women's Day later in the show. Now, joining me in those conversations is a panel of distinguished citizens of this country whom I will introduce, starting from the middle. We're in the month of ladies, so really we have to give them the first priority. From the Center for Constitutional Governance, the Executive Director, Dr. Sarah Bireete. Doctor, good afternoon, and you're most welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, and happy Women's Day.
Yes. Next to Doctor is another doctor, Dr.Robert Ojambo, the head of the Faculty of Political Science and History at Kyambogo University. Doctor, good afternoon, and you're most welcome to the show.
It is department. Good afternoon and the glorious Women's Day.
Yes, and last is from the National Resistance Movement. The Honourable Stephen Mukitale is here with us. Honourable, good afternoon, and you're most welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Happy Women's Day, because we celebrate our mothers, we celebrate our daughters, our sisters, our grandmothers. They make us what we are.
What about wives?
Of course, that's the most interesting.
Is Madam watching?
Should be.
They are captured.
Yeah, in trouble.
They are captured as mothers, certainly.
Yes.
So, I want to start this conversation with you, Dr. Sarah, and we start from Parliament of Uganda. Recently, there is an exhibition on X, an online exhibition that talks about the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, its management, and it involves a couple of things, one of which is the recruitment of staff, legal and illegal apparently, the payments to the Speaker, to the staff at Parliament, to the institutions around there. It talks about how people sit in the House and decide what money is to get and what money is to go there. I want you to help us, paint for us a picture of this Parliament of Uganda, and so far from what you've observed, what is the status of the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda?
Well, Parliament, the legal aspect of the functioning of Parliament, Article 85 creates Parliament as a self-budgeting autonomy, institution. The oversight function of Parliament makes it again an oversight body over itself. And Article 87A, which establishes the Commission of Parliament, then puts the function of determining the emoluments and benefits of people who serve Parliament to the Commission. The Commission is composed of the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Prime Minister, who is a leader of government business, the Minister of Finance, leader of opposition, one commissioner from opposition, and 3 commissioners from the NRM. The Clerk of Parliament is the Secretary of the Commission of Parliament and is the accounting officer of Parliament. We have seen shocking revelations about Parliament. It's like a haven for money laundering. The benefits of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker overwhelm the nation. the handling of public funds really demonstrates that Parliament has no capacity to be a watchdog over taxpayers' money. The conduct is beyond gross. It is extremely embarrassing. If we were in a normal functioning democracy, members of the Commission of Parliament that I have mentioned would have resigned, including the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is a chief watchdog on that committee with the Minister of Finance representing the President. The Minister of Finance exercises his power because the de facto Minister of Finance is the President of the Republic of Uganda, who has the mandate of the people to determine how their funds are spent.
True.
The Minister of Finance acts on behalf of the President. So as we talk of abuse, gross abuse of taxpayers' money in Parliament, the President is not spared either, because his chief agent in managing taxpayers' money in the name of the Minister of Finance is a member of the Commission. The reality of the matter, however, it's from good sources that the current Commission of Parliament almost never meets.
Doctor, say that again.
I have it from good sources, however, that the current Commission of the 11th Parliament never meets. The Speaker determines...
But spends.
Yes. The Speaker determines how money is spent. Her assistants allegedly type out minutes. The Budget Committee does not look through the decisions of the Commission, and Parliament has not approved some of the decisions. It's important to note that the Commission of Parliament is governed by the Administration of Parliament Act. Under Section 2 of the Administration of Parliament Act, the composition of Parliament, of this commission, as I have stated, is clearly provided for in that law. Section 6 of the Administration of Parliament Act provides for the functions of the Commission. Under Section 6G, all the decisions of the Commission are supposed to be recommendations to Parliament, and they are supposed to be processed through the Budget Committee and then to Parliament in form of a bill or a motion. And this decision was confirmed in the Supreme Court decision of Mwesige versus the Parliament of Uganda. So that's the process through which Parliament is supposed to spend taxpayers' money. The Commission sits, deliberates, recommends. The Budget Committee verifies and recommends to Parliament. And these decisions are supposed to be approved by the whole House through either the national budget process or through a motion or a bill. So what we are seeing through social media are decisions that have not been thoroughly processed through these steps. Also, the other lacuna in the mess that we are seeing is the nature in which the Parliament budget is hidden from scrutiny. During last year's budget cycle, we did look for the budget of Parliament, specific expenditures of Parliament. we failed to get them. When you check the budget that is posted with the budget, national budget for Uganda, the expenses of Parliament are contained in a bulk form and they are hidden from scrutiny. So there is no detailed breakdown budget of Parliament. And there is a possibility that maybe it does not exist. Money is hidden in the bulk expenditures, and the Speaker determines, or she is now the detail of the budget. I wish to submit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah, for that really informative and saddening image of the structure of Parliament today and how it operates. Honourable Mukitale, when you listen to Dr. Sarah there and how she paints the image of Parliament and how it operates, you know this house very well. How did we get here?
First of all, is what we call objective and subjective conditions. Time is ripe. God forbid if one Sergeant Dog woke up and gave reasons for overthrowing a government, it would be a very popular uprising. And I've used the word God forbid. You check all these coups, including he gave reasons. You know, in a country where we are talking about lack of basics, lack of poor people cannot get school fees, there's no medicine, everything is lacking. We are now going for mergers, and you see what is coming. What you're seeing in Parliament is just
A tip.
you know, a symptom. It's just a sample of the decadence. You can even call it kleptocracy if you want. It's an exhibition of that level. You see, citizen, why I'm saying a coup, we have demonstrated the last many months we are talking about failure of political parties. Now we are saying failure of Parliament. So what does the citizen remain with? Military government should take over. So there is an objective and subjective condition to justify a military takeover. Of course, also, I sympathize with people who still think we are a democracy, because we are not. Because what we expect Parliament to be, we don't have a parliamentary system. Some people want to call it a hybrid. I don't think it is. So this is where we still have a problem. So as you rightly said, how did we get there? Parliament clearly is, there's a party last week which was it Whole Alliance? So I think there is an whole alliance between the other arm of government on this kleptocracy. The council legal guru, doctor, has really given us what we put in the law, how Parliament is supposed to operate, the composition. It clearly provides for separation of powers, checks and balances. So if the executive also is taking trillions in classified,
It's time for
so
Parliament
the
to-
Parliament has become an extension of the executive. So scratch my back, I scratch your back. So Parliament is only reciprocating. In diplomacy, we call it reciprocal. Is reciprocating the good gesture. So nobody in executive is going, because why inspire exhibition? Why not from Nakalema? Why not from IGG? I sympathize with Mzee Mwanga, the Auditor General. He's an office of Parliament.
Yes.
So how can Mwanga move against the bosses?
And the audit reports of Parliament are never debated.
Yes, it is a very difficult time for this country. But you know, we are pushing people in Western. They have sought people who have entered, brought motorcycles in the country without paying a tax for a number plate. They shoot you. So the conspiracy here of the political class against citizen is very, 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 very scary. Now, I don't even know this country. Do you know? The accounting office of parliament is a very senior person. 25-year MP, 20-year minister,
And the former
and
deputy attorney general.
and he has come from a background of security intelligence because he used to, when we left Makerere, he went with Norbert Mayombo, with Nobo Mayombo as almost his assistant, and the next thing we had, he had joined politics. So meaning that this information is hidden to public, but it is known somewhere. So these approvals, whether minutes are made in the speaker's office or what, the accounting officer is a former minister of local government, of defense, of I think 5 dockets
And yeah,
for,
deputy
for,
attorney
for
general.
20 years.
Meaning that he has no
A
experience.
member of parliament, 25 years. So
Maybe
to-
he has no experience.
we would have benefited from such a senior, because I would sympathize with Madame Chivirige who was there, because he just came from nowhere. But really for my colleague Adolf Mwesige, very senior as he is, so for me that's what I'm saying, it is just a symptom of a much bigger problem that the tax, for me when I speak of national dialogue, please understand me. I have looked at these things long ago. Now let me tell you what happens in that parliament. The 15 years I was there, no single day. I sat in any meeting, not in NRM, not in the economy, not in the budget, where I was a member to discuss our emoluments. Meaning that between the president, the constitutional minister of finance, the speaker, they always agree on what will be given. I
So
remember,
they never table it in the budget.
even when you hear people abusing us on vehicles, getting used vehicles, when my cow in the district drives a brand new car, these are discussed. The other side, they just tell you, we started I think with 35 million, then they increased to about 80. These guys are now getting 200 million. So,
Honourable Stephen,
yes.
you know, for the benefit of the good health of our viewer, did you say MPs are getting 200 million?
For a vehicle.
They already got for a vehicle. For the 5-year term, you get a vehicle for 200 million. You maintain it yourself, you get your own driver. But remember, the other junior officers in the district have a government vehicle with a driver, with fuel. So, but people take the debate so much on that one vehicle, but miss out on the bigger things. Me, I would even, I am scared, and this is the line I wanted to take. People have taken, initially started as a Mpuuga thing, but the commission doesn't only have Mpuuga. The commission has many people. I don't know why people took a lot of energy on Mpuuga. Now, I'm happy. It has become an eye-opener. You mean it could actually be the whole commission? Wait a minute, not just a commission. It could be the whole parliament. There is money for travels. It could be more scandalous than this, where somebody has 3 passports. At the same time, is supposed to be in 2 weeks in the USA. Is actually also in Ojambo for 10 days. And after that, supposed to be in China. The same person with 3 passports. The visas are there, but government of Uganda is paying multiplicity of expenditures on the same person. So all this stench is happening without anybody saying enough is enough, we stop this. So this is, you will find also in the executive, there are similar occurrences. There are similar occurrences where the country is bleeding, where money is being lost. Because it is now, there are things which are now more important in this country. Why I started with a threat of a coup, I think it's what can communicate. Until there is threat to power, nothing scares anybody in this country. You can do anything, you can loot, you can do anything, as long as you don't threaten the power. As long as you are supporting the power retention project. As long as you know, the moment you attempt, this evidence of NRMs, for example, who have taken this money, will only be brought out if you threaten to to not conform, to join another group. That's when they will use it against you, that you did this. But as long as you're still conforming, towing the line, you will not see a problem. And I think for me, this is the unfortunate part our politics has taken. Of course, at this point in time, no wonder that politics has become the most lucrative business. It is no longer farming, it is no longer exports, it is no longer imports, that from nowhere, somebody can become the most rich. Even for us who went into politics when we thought we were becoming pensioners, though young in age, but we thought, I want only, when I left my career, I only wanted to be employed for 10 years. That was my policy. And I knew after 10 years I will never be employed again. But I have seen people whom we even funded, we even gave school fees for their children, becoming stinking rich without any business, but this kind of list money. So, when you hear who has bought that land, it's a politician. Who has evicted people, it is that general. So, I think politics and the army is where the money is. And yet the riffraffs of that very army and the politics, the councillors in the village are very poor, and the junior military officers don't even have where to sleep. But the few, the apex of them are stinking rich. So that defines our political system, how ugly it is, how it is anti-people. And that's why I started by saying the public facilities have shrunk, the public goods are almost not there, but the money for these powerful people is more than available.
Thank you so much, Honourable Stephen, and really, it's an image that continues to scare my viewer out there, but it's something we have to talk about. Dr. Ojambo, the Honourable Stephen here talks about what we see from Parliament today as something smaller to what is actually
Tip
out
of an
there.
iceberg.
Yes, but he also talks about the conspiracy of politicians in this country against the citizens. Now, I want to understand, one, does it even have precedence? Has it happened anywhere that the leaders of the country can conspire to impoverish their citizens? But two, what kind of history are we writing, the current political class?
Thank you very much, and I thank my colleagues. She gave a legal perspective, and he came in and he gave the political economy perspective. I will, to answer your three questions, I'll first tell you that I have had a lot of problems with the 1995 Constitution on a number of things. Of course, many people who are very excited with it, and they say this is one of the golden constitutions in Africa or in the world, I get surprised with them. Because a constitution should be that checks. A constitution is supposed to check the excesses of powerful people, not to give them a leeway. Because if somebody is powerful, I normally tell my colleagues at the university who are professors that when you are speaking to the students, you need to know that they already fear you by the word just professor. They even think the English you are speaking is complicated, even if you spoke that one of is, was, and whatever, but they will still think you are complicating things. Now, our constitution failed in checks and balances. I agree the three arms of government have to be independent: the executive, the judiciary, and the parliament. But the constitution confuses you. I am not very good at identifying the articles. Although they say that the other two should be really checked, parliament, there is nothing. I normally see judiciary going to present its budget in parliament, and illiterate people in terms of legal bash the PS of that place until sometimes he or she wants to submit, because that's a check and balance. when the presidency goes to parliament to present their budget, the only survival of recent has been they hide under classified expenditure, because other than defense, the president's office always also these days sometimes hides under classified budget. The rest, they are really, but now, who checks on parliament? That's what the constitutional writers forgot. Who checks on parliament? If the others can be checked, they can just reject. The president is checked, he rejects, and others they can ignore. But at least there is some semblance of checking them on their excesses. Now, who checks on parliament? So the constitutional writers forgot that area. Number two, the public servants in Uganda, there is a confusion of public servants in Uganda. Because you have public servants, you have civil servants, then you have people who work for entities, authorities, and what have you. And yet they are all drawing money from the consolidated fund.
You also have the Poasi.
Yes, but with different parameters on how they are checked. The public servant in Uganda is in terrible conditions. The original public servant. To call him a civil servant. Look at police. Look at teachers. Look at medics, people who work in healthy.
The junior cadres.
They are in trouble. For them, they say according to the public service, if you are recruited in Uganda and you are U15, you're in big trouble. Because it is maybe U7 there now, graduates and above. You remember there is U7A, then U7B. There is a very big problem. This person with the Form 6 qualification comes from any village of Uganda. So long as he's a member of parliament, he just comes and boom, they give him a huge salary. Not considering what is his contribution. They say these are lawmakers, but there is another one who also prepares a file in court, who prepares a file in police. He's doing a very complicated. So the Constitution didn't help us to resolve the issue of public service. So you find a person who is an office messenger in an authority, KCCA, I'm not saying KCC, I'm just giving an example. He's an office messenger, but he's earning a salary of a deputy cow in a district. They are all public servants. So what has happened of Uganda? When we reach where we can make our own emoluments, we try as much as possible to maximize, and Parliament has excelled in that endeavor. And nobody can ask them. When they ask them, they refer to the law that she talked about, article, you said 80?
85.
85. They refer to it and you keep quiet. That is a constitutional thing that has been made. Number two, the character.
And just to give information,
yes,
that law is in the spirit of giving some semblance of autonomy, independence to the parliament.
I agree.
It was not intended.
I agree, Honourable.
The way it's being abused.
I agree, Honourable. You know, I am not a very good, I am not one of the people who will go to heaven. And I don't attempt even to look for it. Because I want to imagine that if God created people and he knew who they are at the beginning, he knows my destiny, where I will be. So I don't waste my time. I will go where God has destined me. But you see, you can't imagine that Parliament is heaven. That's why I call them checks and balance. If you can check on the executive, you can check on the judiciary. Why not Parliament? So that one was a weakness. Then I wanted to talk about the recruitments in Uganda. When I was growing up, for somebody to reach to a level of an accounting officer, that person will have gone through a lot of experience in a related area. For example, for you to be a DPC, you should have served in the country in different police stations at different ranks. so that by the time you reach to be a district police commander, you know what it means. These days, somebody leaves the university, he runs around, he goes to Cavalia or the other place in Masindi, he comes back with 3 stars. He's DPC with a radio call, a pistol here. Sometimes some of them put it in the chest so that you see it. You really see a miserable young man who does not know what to do with the pistol. Why are you moving with the pistol when you're not going to arrest anybody? So that creates a very big problem. Somebody can now come from teaching on the blackboard, a school teacher, and he becomes a permanent secretary, a school teacher. The school teacher should become a head teacher or a district education officer, not a permanent secretary. When a colleague of mine became the permanent secretary of Ministry of Finance, and I almost laughed. I said, this man has been, his daily business has been to prepare notes, mark coursework, look at, he had not reached the level of looking at dissertations because he was not a lecturer. So this man, you carry him and boom, he's the PST. I'll not mention the name. You are causing trouble to the country. Those days, for somebody to become a permanent secretary, you started when you graduate from the university, you become assistant secretary. From assistant secretary, you go to principal secretary. No, senior secretary. From senior secretary, you go to principal secretary. From principal secretary, you move like that. And in each of these level, there are responsibilities that you are putting together and learning. Today, you fail to get a position in one of the constituencies in Uganda, you have nowhere to go, you write a letter applying for a job, and you are telling the appointing authority, give me any job, and you even propose. This one is vacant in Parliament, in Human Rights Commission is also vacant, and in this place is also vacant. Then boom, they carry you and put you in Parliament.
And the ambassador.
As the accounting officer.
As accounting officer.
Now, let me give you information. The point he's making in the traditional public administration is very important. First of all, he's raising 3 things. One, that we lost merit and competition, competitive meritocracy. That you can no longer say, among the many in that ministry, you will have to compete. You know, you will be promoted on merit. You will be appointed on merit. The second point is that we have lost seniority, hierarchy, and chain of command. Because the moment you miss hierarchy, seniority, and chain of command, if you make a person salute the person I trained yesterday, I start saluting him tomorrow, you lose chain of command. In public administration, actually, the borrowing of chain of command is from the military. The moment you miss that, so that's why you find right now, you cannot be sure who is going to be the next IGP. Because the seniority, the hierarchy, and the chain of command of the outgoing IGP, there was this Yiga man, the traffic man. Those guys were annihilated because the moment the military came in and took over police posts, PS is the same thing. It's no longer that the longest serving person in the ministry with a PhD, with a master's, has been another 6 years. Anybody can become a PS.
Yes.
So that is a disincentive. Because all these guys who have been working so hard in foreign service saying, possibly one day, you know, it's not only about the pay. People want training, people want promotion. That I will retire as a PS, it can keep you in a job. But the moment there's even no hope of becoming a PS,
okay, thank you.
we lose the performance.
So Bwana Muliisa, Bwana Moderator, when a person who has been a politician, a career politician for 20 years, 20 and so years, however qualified he is, he's carried and thrown to supervise people who are more technical in that job than him, then you know there is a crisis in that organization. I was at a summit in Arusha, and I was speaking to somebody from Parliament who has served there for 25 years, grown through ranks, and he was saying, we have now a clerk who does not understand any procedure of parliament. He only understands what the boss has told him. So that person is one source of the problem in the parliament right now. Then the last issue, which I want to talk about parliament, is deals. I've talked about politics of deals. We have left running a country on providing services and doing our job, but chasing where there is a deal. And therefore, I can tell you for sure, when the current speaker became Speaker of Parliament, there were about 300 servicemen in Parliament, people who are doing administrative work, who are not MPs and whatever. There were 300.
Parliamentary staff.
As I speak right now, they are threatening 1,000. And each one of them is...
Dr. 1,000.
Yes.
What are they doing?
I don't know. I don't work there. But the records show that these days
2
they are...
days ago,
Yes.
about 20 were recruited.
Yes. They are senior officers in the Parliament.
They recruit on Sunday, they recruit at the midnight, they recruit.
They are senior. In fact, now the most risky job in the Parliament is human resource officer, because they no longer follow the procedures. You know, human resource officer. I was just reading here from my human resource officer from the university. There is a procedure that you go through. Procedures don't work there anymore. There are more senior staff in the Parliament.
We were demonstrated
who are on
in the
Katebi.
country.
They are bosses, but they have nothing to do. In Parliament now, the parliamentary staff tell you they don't have where to sit, because you come, you come on a weekend, after a weekend, on Monday you find a person has been sent to you to work with you.
Some information, Doctor.
Please.
There are too many drivers in Parliament. And now they've been told, instead of waking up to go to work, they are told to wait at home, that they will be called.
Yeah.
Because there are too many drivers. So you find somebody working 3 or 4 days a month.
You see, what is most troublesome on that particular allegation is that if you have people coming in, day out, we have a budget. Where do they get the money?
Who knows the details?
Mr. Moderator, this is not an allegation. Employees of Parliament can never be an allegation.
Sure.
Just go on parliamentary website, you will see the employees there. Because they draw a salary from the consolidated fund, there is no way you can bring them and you don't pay them salary. So you just go to the payment of Parliament. A support staff, you will see how many. This is staff, you will see how many are there, and so on. So let me finish this point, then you interject. So I was saying that she was talking about drivers. They are senior staff of Parliament, senior staff at the level of supervisor, who now stay at home and only come when they have been told that please come and do something. We have them, they're our sisters, they're our brothers. They stay at home. They have no job, but they are getting salary. So that is one major problem. The last problem in our Parliament today is that there is more politics than administration there. And Parliament is supposed to be the epitome of administration, following procedure, because there you are even fearing that the people who pass these procedures are here. So if you break them, they will handle you. No, it is the opposite. So in Parliament right now, there are no clear procedures of doing things. And because of that, therefore it is politics that works. When they bring a leader of opposition, he comes with this swarm of people. For example, now there is a problem between the Mpuuga former staff and the Senyonyi staff, because Mpuuga had gotten a lot of technical people around him to help him to do the work. Senyonyi is now surrounded by foot soldiers. I hope you understand who foot soldiers are. They have nothing to do, but they have to be around there and serve. So another person,
Eddie Mutwe is about
the
to
speaker,
be a parliamentary.
you saw what happened with the Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister became the current Prime Minister, you must have read about her, how she recruited the whole clan. You saw what happened with this Minister of Presidency, when she became, RDCs had to be retrenched, and all of a sudden there is you know, like in police and army, now RDCs come from one region. Majority of them come from one region in this country, RDCs and deputy RDCs. So the disease is so big that now we are not using procedures. We are using politics to recruit. Now, once you do that, then it means there is going to be a litany of abuse. I've been brought by a minister. I've been brought by a speaker. What can you say? There are people in parliament there, even MPs, even the one I respect very much recently. I was surprised on, I was listening to another radio talk show. And the man said, you want to bring me problems with the speaker? And this man, I respect him so much. I thought that he should even be chased by the speaker so that we clap for him. He was saying, no, I don't want to. So there is a demigod there. The speaker now is not a speaker of the Republic of Uganda parliament. Is a demigod. Goddess to speak good English. So is the deputy, so is this other person. So everybody there is powerful. In the parliament of Uganda, drivers now, there are some drivers who are more powerful than commissioners that you are talking about, these poor commissioners that you are talking about. So in my view, this country, without looking at the parliament only, the parliament is just because it is the weak end. You know, for example, in a human body, we are normally, when you get a low immune system, there are organs of the body that are affected more than others. For example, it is very difficult to find that the nose has a problem or the ear. But you will find that the tongue will have problems because of it. See, it is a little bit delicate. Then when you go into the body organs, the first to be attacked is the liver. Then it follows the kidney. Then it follows the other. You hardly hear that the colon, unless it is a cancer. So the Speaker of Parliament, because he's the boss of Parliament, is just a weak organ in a sick or an immune deficiency country where there are a lot of problems. So Spire has helped us to touch Parliament. Oh, if they touched the Minister of Health, if they touched the Minister of Education, if they touched a certain university in Uganda, you would see trouble.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robert. And what really comes out is the panel here thinks Uganda is actually in a very terrible state. Dr. Sarah, I want to come back to you. One thing that came out from the exhibition is, one, the former leader of opposition getting some monies from Parliament, from the commission that you talked about so clearly, and what happened thereafter is his political party did ask him to resign. In 24 hours there was a meeting and they say, please resign as parliamentary commissioner because what you did, according to them, is corruption, is not good for the image of our political party. But two, when this happened, the commissioner says, I will not resign. And there is, today when you speak to members of the political party, you have sides. People who believe that the president and the people who believe in him are correct. You have people who say Honourable Mpuuga and his stand are correct. And it is more of a conflict in the political party. And it is not new to have conflicts in political parties. We had one recently in the Forum for Democratic Change. We have a group in Katonga today. We have a group at Najana Nkumbi. We had another conflict still in the FDC some years back that led to the leaving of General Mugisha Muntu and formation of the Alliance for National Transformation. Let's talk about these conflicts that are arising in political parties. When you see how they are managed and how they are handled, is it the right way?
Thank you, Phil. I think before we go to the political parties, can we have some few recommendations? What should happen? This saga in Parliament. There are two recommendations, and like my co-panelists have said, The mess in Parliament is twofold. There is a specific mess in Parliament, but there is also the regime mess. And so when we come to the way forward, where should we expect solutions from? And the dilemma we have is that the structural solutions would need to be implemented by Parliament. For the same Parliament that is in a mess. The punitive ones can be implemented by the people using other sources. So when you go to the submission of Dr. Ojambo, the conflict with the doctrine of separation of powers, or the weaknesses of the doctrine. The doctrine of separation of powers do not necessarily mean that Parliament, for example, should have no oversight. I think that was a mistake or an omission, an oversight of the Constituent Assembly to create an entity to say you will budget for yourselves, you will account to yourselves, and you will do oversight on your own. That provision presumes a very high quality of leadership. The Constitution has been here for 28 years. As Dr. Ojambo says, they are not perfect people. But the mistakes of this nature again show something fundamentally wrong with the 11th Parliament. Because this system of self-budgeting and accounting has never created the crisis in the last 25 years. The crisis is in these 3 years of Right Honourable Baneta Mong's leadership and Right Honourable Taeba Thomas and Right Honourable Nabanja, the fisher women. The fisher women, I think when the president told the country that this is a change of fisher women, we didn't know what we were up to. But now everybody knows what these fisher women were about. Yeah. We first saw the mess with the Karamoja scandal under the leadership of the chief fisherwoman. Now in the executive, now we are drawn into the mess of the fisherwoman in Parliament. I hope we don't have a fisherwoman in the judiciary because the top are men. But people have hinted to a possible crisis because of the closeness of the fisherman and in the judiciary and the fisherwoman in Parliament. Because if the people were to seek redress, where do they go? Given that the president put us on notice that he's giving us fisherwomen.
And men.
And as he called them fisherwomen, a cabinet of fisherwomen, because they are the top. Now as the women are fishing, do we then go to him and say, your fisherwomen are catching underage fish, your fisherwomen are using mosquito nets instead of fishing nets? What do we do with these fisherwomen? Because because he put us on notice. Said, this business unusual. I have my fisherwomen, and he laughed. I wish maybe I could look for those speeches. And he laughed so hard. And tears came as he was announcing the fisherwomen. Now the whole country is drowned in muddy waters everywhere. Was this what he intended? And we need to know that he has failed to act on the fisherwomen under him directly. Will he now act on the fisherwomen in the other arm? No. So when the UK, you know, like a common saying, there's nothing new under the sun.
True.
When the UK was drawn in a mess of allowances and benefits of members of Parliament, they went back to the drawing board and said, where did we go wrong? because the UK Parliament, before the 2009 mess, was self-budgeting and self-accounting. When that principle was abused, they took it away by creating the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, IPSA, which takes care of budgeting for Parliament, dispensing money to Parliament, and ensuring there is value for money for the citizens with fairness and transparency. Do we need to stay in this arrangement of self-budgeting, self-accounting, somebody, because somebody made a joke, a member of Parliament, name withheld. He said, these commissioners, you are crucifying for nothing. They are even informed in the corridors by the chair that, by the way, I allocated for you some money. Yes, that's how taxpayers' money is being spent.
You see, Doctor, the things you talk about are quite worrisome. And when you connect it to what Doctor said about the senior honorable member of Parliament that said he cannot talk about the Speaker, plus the silence of all the 557 members of Parliament about what is coming out, it says that institution has nothing good to do for Ugandans.
Today, Diamond has recently reprinted the story on the expenditures of Parliament that are available to the public. This Parliament spends 2.6 billion per day. I have mentioned previously on this forum that these are 5 seed schools. So you have the legislature spending.
Good ones.
Yeah.
So you understand.
Modern.
You understand my fear that a coup could be justified.
Yes. So our Parliament spends 2.6 billion per day, whether they are in session or not. A member of Parliament earns 1 million every day, whether they are sitting, whether it's a weekend, whether it's a public holiday or not. When you go to the executive spends 2.8 billion per day. Those are almost 6 seed schools. So we have institutions that consume 10 schools per day. It's no wonder that our children are studying in ramshackle schools.
Doctor, 10 schools.
Per day, between the two arms.
Yes.
Per day.
And that is if they are
Whether
using
it's
this
a Monday,
PPDA exaggerated costing. If they gave that money to me, I would build 20.
of course, that money is a lot. It would create more
Includes
schools.
corruption in procurement.
That one includes corruption in procurement. 10 schools per day, whether it is a Sunday, whether it's a Monday, whether it's Christmas. This is the cost of leadership in this country. Wow. Ugandans need to do something.
Wow. And you know, I wanted so much to talk about the conflict.
No,
in
we are
political
going
parties,
back to
but briefly, I want to pick Honourable Mukitale's view. When you listen to that, 10 seed schools per day, 2.6 billion, 2.8
Nowhere he has
billion.
already reached.
How, because my earlier question was, how did we get here now? How do we get out of there?
You see,
The rat hole.
we have reached where we have reached by choice. It was possible for us to avoid coming this far. You know, Sarah's talked to the Constitution, Dr. Sarah, and even Dr. Ojambo. The Constitution as it was in 1995 envisaged there will be accountability at some time. So the moment we removed the stop valves, accountability was forgotten. So even those who had some sense of fear that 2006 we are going to account, they have since said never. 2021, completely forgotten. So you now need to understand the philosophical concept, the reason why there are such safeguards in the Constitution. And because of that, it can not only be the president, it is now everywhere. First of all, I said from the beginning, we don't even have a parliamentary system in Uganda, and things we aren't an equivalent of a British system, not even the American system.
No.
But for me, I know we are also not a democracy. It's a quasi-democracy. It's a quasi-military pseudo-democracy. So if you understand that, that's when you will really understand that it's a goose chase. What we call a democracy, whereby the citizens, the taxpayers, the voters, whatever is going to be put as a priority in the budgeting and the use of the taxpayers' money is going to be a priority of the citizens. So, who is going to set the agenda, for example, to now be in the interest of the voiceless, of those ones who need the city schools? That voice is not there. That voice is gagged. That voice will never come up. And that's why I used the conspiracy word before. So it is, you can say the citizens are under occupation. Citizens are held hostage by criminals. The criminals are doing their thing. Because the few in parliament are saying, but executive, we know what you are doing. So we are fearing now, we are told also the judiciary may also.
No, the closeness is worrying.
So there is no.
The judiciary went long ago.
There is no place of recourse where you will say, if it fails in executive, it fails in parliament, let us go to the executive and look for interpretation and
the judiciary.
from the judiciary. So we are in a very difficult situation. That's why for us who saw it long ago, I went to parliament advocating for national dialogue, truth and reconciliation, including amnesty, because I knew the looting was already happening anyway. I did not go to parliament expecting emolument. Me, I went to parliament as a volunteer. I expect to be facilitated. I'm going somewhere, put me in a government vehicle, I go. If I'm there, give me accommodation, I stay there and give me food, I come back. I didn't expect any money on my account. But the practice I found there is taking the remuneration. Political leaders should not be remunerated. Political leaders should be volunteers. They should be facilitated. So right now, in the guise of being independent, autonomy, and self-budgeting, the looting is taking place. For me, I said, don't look at Mpuuga. The Mpuuga case has indicted the whole parliament. Don't look at the parliament. It is an indictment to government because at one time, Honourable Kadaga attempted to give us money without executive approval. We were made to refund that money.
Yes.
We were made to,
one of you
and
went to court.
it was only 20 million.
Karanga went to court.
It was only 20 million. The money, we put it back and get an acknowledgement from clerk's office. We have refunded the money. So why do you think this big money is not being questioned? And I told you, we have a super accounting officer. The clerk to parliament is the most senior we have ever had in the country. So that's why for me, I would want really us to put more effort. So if the other topic we want to discuss, if the political parties are not there,
Yes.
if the
Honourable, we're going to get into that.
no, I'm just saying, if the political parties are not functioning, if parliament is not doing what it's supposed to be, really, we're expecting too much. We're expecting too much. For me, we either fix these things, because if we don't have a proactive, preventive way of correcting these mistakes, what would be the other alternative? People don't want to look at this. The other alternative is going to be an inquisition. If you put an inquest on everybody, if we say everybody recovers,
So we put up a commission of inquiry.
A commission
on
of
Parliament.
inquiry?
Yes, because maybe some information,
Yes.
Honourable. If we had a check, like if Auditor General had capacity to check Parliament
check his
and
bosses.
have Parliament debates the report, we would ask for a value for money
My audit.
But we know Parliament. This Tagare Parliament won't debate the report. So maybe a commission of inquiry is better.
So, the commission of inquiry would be now in this system, but who is going to push for it? That's why for me, I am scared that all this I am seeing that we are inciting citizens, we are annoying them to the marrow, to say that possibly we should get disgusted, we should get tired because we are not getting health services, we are not getting, and this is my worry, that people will refuse paying taxes, that people will refuse, citizens will refuse to listen to government. And this would be very, because we don't want people to see us irrelevant, illegitimate, and that's not good for a country. As a patriot, I would really want us to have an inward-looking, introspect, proactive, preventive way, and to say that this comes to, if we don't, you know, a hungry person and angry person has nothing to lose. Those UPE, USE children, those girls who are now being tortured in Arab world, they call it Viyumba, when they come back here, and they have seen that in those countries, government can give water, can give electricity, can give free education, can give free health. They are going to increase the level of civic competence. So there are two scenarios. That those who have found their own way out will come back and improve the level of the civic competence. Oh, the riffraffs, the ones, the forgotten, the wretched of the earth, will raise up and cause a spontaneous revolution, which, by the way, for me, I see the NUP. The NUP, whereas there was some sympathies with some people being elected, NUP was a spontaneous eruption of people who have been forgotten by people from the ghetto. They have never got state house scholarship, they have never gone on government bursary. They say we are self-made. But also what's unfortunate for them, all of a sudden, a butcher man and others who had been thrown out from the ghetto, from what is that man's empire, the president's place, was also made a big man.
Firebase.
So
But now he was dropped.
So you now find, because the ghetto has arrived in the city, the ghettos, the kusasiras are being picked and all made very important. But they should remember, it was a revolution of the voiceless, of the forgotten, of the wretched. And me, I don't want those ugly scenarios. Why do I fear those scenarios? Those scenarios will not think of parliamentary systems, they will not think of what, because they are saying, you the elite, you the political class, what you have been having is for yourselves. So right now we would want a political system which is for us.
They call them the bossies.
The ghetto people, what is that which can work for us in a Malwa club, what can work for us in our local setting.
Thank you.
And that would be very expensive. So basically I'm saying a revolution. We have incubated, we have been breeding and brooding and making everything possible to breed another revolution without going to the bush. We don't even need an election. This is a bulletless coup which is going to happen because of unemployment, landlessness, and poverty.
Thank you so much, Honourable Stephen. Like he says, dear Ugandans, please don't be disgusted, but you have all reasons to be, and you can use any means to express your disgust. Ladies and gentlemen, the Citizens Church takes a short break, and we shall be right back.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
You are still on Uganda's leading freedom platform, the Civic Space TV, and this is the Citizens Chat Show. I am Phillip Muliisa. Today, we are looking at the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda and the management and the very many revelations that came out through the Uganda Parliament exhibition on X. Where we left, we were discussing recommendations, how we can get out of the shabby image we are in as a country. And Dr. Ojambo, you've heard it all, you've seen it all, you know what it is. How do we get out of there?
Yeah, where we are is where Ghana was some 30 years ago. And everybody was disgusted. Coups had been there. And things were not moving on well. Until a man came called Jerry Rawlings. And he put Ghana to a level that when the democracy resumed, Ghana up to recently has been an admired country in Africa. So we need a situation which is going to deal with the politics first. Seek ye the politics. Let me use Kwame Nkrumah's saying, and the rest will be sorted. So we need to sort out the politics. And Uganda's politics for the last 37 years has been so much influenced by one individual. And the successes and the failures that we have are a product of that individual. So if that individual is to continue being the leader of this country, we are just going to sink deeper. So that is the first. Transition is a very big thing, and not transiting from father to son because of DNA. If you really want to think that you can move from the father to the son when they have the same DNA, you are wasting your time. This Uganda requires some fresh
Assuming
air.
that the DNA is true, because you know what was revealed in a few DNA cases.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to check them. We should just assume it is the same DNA. Because we need some fresh air. We need some fresh air in the government of Uganda. And this fresh air cannot come from a vacuum. So the citizens must become assertive and try to reject some of these things to make sure that we don't just support because I want to roof my house. You support because you want to buy a new car or you want to go and study in Germany. You need to rise up and say, I should starve in this country, but we change the government of Uganda to change these systems. You cannot have a system where you have almost relatives working in the same place. I've also heard a rumor that in that parliament, majority of important people are relatives. Like, for example, the speaker is the relative to the chairperson of budgeting, who is a relative to the principal, press, secretary, and so on. So we need a system that values merit. He talked about merit. You need a situation where somebody is somewhere because of merit and principle. And that will mean that we need an overhaul. We need an overhaul in our systems of recruitment. We need an overhaul in a number of things. But by and large, if something could happen and we remove these dealer-men MPs, dealers, they're all over the place in NRM. Maybe what you forgot, what most people forgot here was that when you look at that saga of 500, 400 gratuity award money, I don't think that money was meant for Mpuuga. That money was meant for other people. If some of you can look carefully, how the three commissioners of NRM retained their powers. This is something that was opposed by SEC, because SEC had opened these positions for competition, and we received the largest applicant that we have ever received. Those applications were supposed to be taken to State House. They drowned into some valley in between Parliament and the State House in Nakasero. There must be some, I think they were going to State House in Entebbe, and there is a valley there called the Nambirigwa Valley, where there is the longest bridge. They drowned there, and the 3 names returned. Now, those 3 names show you that the president is so interested in those people. What are they doing for him? Because I know the president of Uganda does not support people to build the country Uganda. He supports only people who build Project Museveni. So we need to interrogate that. Why should these people get money when some other commissioners have never gotten such money? Why? So I think there is a need for the proper emolument of Parliament, so that whoever goes there knows that at the end of my tenure or the end of the month, this is what I will get, not basing on how the Speaker is happy with you. The other problem in Parliament is trips abroad. These committees moving per diem. We need to know, as he said, why should MPs be getting a lot of money from per diem than even more than their salary? Per diem should be according to your salary. So you cannot get in 1 month per diem higher than your salary. It is irregular. Or any emolument. How was that 500 calculated? It is a fraction of what? So it means that in Parliament we don't have clear formula or formulae to calculate some of these things. This need to be, and any sensible person, if the clerk of Parliament, I might have argued against him in error. If he's really a qualified person, those are things which are in his docket. He can put in place, because I don't think Parliament will discuss on modalities, because that is the administrative head. But knowing the politician he is, so in other words, administrative offices should not be occupied by politicians. Let politicians run their politics and career administrators continue. Because it is disgusting in this country that a person moves from village X and is now running a ministry. He has no idea. There was recently a person who was picked from people here were saying, praying for me that I become a commissioner. I would accept such things very reluctantly. In fact, I would have to argue with the university that they retain my job at the university so that I only go there maybe to learn. But really, like me who has been teaching for the last 23 years, how do you make me a commissioner of a certain thing? How do I know? In the commission, are there no people who have been growing in ranks? What is the problem of getting people in the commission?
The electoral commission.
Yes, everything, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So me, I believe in experience. I believe in technical growth. So in Uganda, once we continue the way we are, and we are still encouraging tribalism, people ask you, what is wrong with it? You find the people of the same family are seated in a meeting deciding on national matters. And you ask them, are you? And people ask you, what is wrong with it? There is everything wrong with it. You saw Trump when he went to America and started using his children, his girlfriends, and what have you. For the first time, the American system was exposed to the world as one of the fake ones because of that business. So me, I think, in my view, I really think that the number one person is the citizen. And the citizen, he was saying, if you leave things to riffraffs, they will mismanage us and we'll have problems, all of us here.
Doctor, briefly, what is your view? Do you think, one, the quality of MPs we have in the country, but two, the number of MPs in that house has something to do with the performance we see today?
No, the quality of MP is something which is going to be very difficult to resolve, because these MPs are not imported from Congo or from Burundi or South Sudan. They come from our society. By the way, people complain about the quality of MPs. and sometimes I sympathize with them. Majority of our MPs have they are graduates. Majority of them have master's degree. Others are even doing PhD. Sometimes when they do PhD, I ask them, they are doing PhD for what? To just go and say aye and yeah in parliament. But the problem is not the quality in terms of qualification. The problem is, one, moral decadence in the country, which affects the MP. They are infested. It's like keeping milk with the rotten stuff. Even if you went to Britain or to America and brought the MPs there to work in this system, they will behave like these ones. They will not be different. The numbers, I would agree with you, the numbers are too big. But the numbers are there because of the Museveni project. Because the numbers are a function of increase of constituency. These days, at least the president is not moving around. We have at least been safe. When this COVID came, he has not been moving around the country. Everywhere he would go, they would be asking for constituency and a district. Can you imagine that Busia district, Busia's radius is not 30 kilometers from when you leave Bugiris this side, Namaingo the other side, then Kenya border. It's not 30.
And Lake Vic.
Is not 30 kilometers radius a district. I hear they want to divide it into two because of that. So when you are dividing districts, you are creating constituencies. There is no way you can reduce the number of MPs because of Project Museveni. Once we stop this Project Museveni, the districts will reduce, the constituencies will reduce, and we will have fewer MPs. But so long as there is Project Museveni, which is now moving into Project MK, by the way, people are being deceived. Museveni finished his work. He's just preparing for MK. And that is going to be the most dangerous.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Robert. Dr. Bireete, Sarah, I want to come back to you. The mess, the shabby images through Parliament have created a conflict in one of the political parties in the country, that is the National Unity Platform, between the party president, the Honourable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, and his deputy president in charge of the Central Region, the Honourable Matthias Mpuuga. And you have factions disagreeing on method, disagreeing on how to handle the situation, disagreeing on how to deal with the money. What does this portray in terms of the structuring of political parties, but also the strength of political leaders in these political parties?
Specifically for the Mpuuga situation, in principle, a party is justified to act on information that has come to its knowledge and a conduct that contradicts the party principles and values. So in principle, NUP was right to act to the information that came about one of their members and a senior member at that. I have reservations on the approach they used, but the principle is okay. When you have a conflict in a party, and a conflict can arise out of anything, and I'm coming from a background of, the current rift in FDC. FDC has had two major rifts before this one that has really almost finished it off. It's now a shell of its former self. There was a rift on General Muntu before he exited with a number of senior officials and members. But there was also a rift on selective party primaries at one time, where the then Vice President Okumregan and others were shielded from party primaries. And the people who were interested in that competition took them on, including court decisions. But that did not create a fallout. I'm just referring to it to demonstrate that a rift can happen out of many issues. So parties need to create conflict resolution mechanisms with early warning, early detection, and a peaceful resolution of conflict. The final conflict, of course, in FDC has scattered it, the fallout with Katonga faction. I don't think they will recover from it. If they do, it will be a miracle. So then one would expect that NUP should learn from the good and bad of what has happened in FDC and other parties as well. A conflict should be processed through a mechanism, even when you know the answer, because the principles of natural justice demand that. Even if you have no conflict warning, conflict detection, and you know that mechanism, the rules of natural justice demand that you give a conflict time, it's processed through several levels, everybody is heard, then you take a decision. That's where I fault NUP. But the action, spot on. They should act and they should have acted. The question is how. And my message to NUP is that please always process issues through structures. Never rush to take any decision on any member, because there is always two sides of the same coin.
Thank you so much. Honourable Mukitale, Mane resigned in 24 hours. Was it the right way to do this? And when you listen to the details of this, they say we held a meeting involving about 6-7 people, and in 24 hours they are calling on a party president to resign. Was it the right way?
It's good that the Honourable Mpuuga had been put on spot as an individual for the cash bonanza in Parliament. But we have spent the last 1 hour discussing the problem is actually Parliament. And some of us have said it's not just Parliament. Parliament is just a tip of an iceberg. So that again shows that the rush NUP itself had. Actually, NUP would be shining if they had attacked my NRM government for attempting to buy Mpuuga. Because if NUP was the one which had done this expose of the cash bonanza, NUP would be very relevant today to the citizens. NUP would be very relevant to taxpayers. But NUP went for, not even a messenger, went for a victim. For me, actually, Mpuuga is a victim in this scandal. More so, after finding out he hasn't even got the money. The money was not for Mpuuga alone. I think the commission was being paid and, and the former law to cover up a lot of other things which have been done. So, NUP has used the negative energy against their own. Yet they would have used this to make an offensive on us NRM, which they have failed completely. And I'm sure our principal is laughing from one ear to ear, if it is possible to have that kind of laughter. Because that is how inept the leadership of NUP is. As I was parking here, one radio station was saying, another family member of the principal of NUP went to meet General Saleh to clear him to stand as a mayor that Nyanzi has met. Eh?
But that was when he was an NRM member.
No, now he wants
to stand
contest
as a mayor of where?
Kampala, as a Lord Mayor. And it was said that Lord Mayor Lukwago is a mayor by blessing of
the cheats.
of General Saleh.
You're referring to
And
the,
he was warned that
the handwritten.
he was warned, you dare say anything against, and we are going to withdraw you. So meaning that there are some deals.
What kind of high priest is General Saleh Musale in the politics of this country?
You are not so young. If you live in this country, you should know the de facto commander-in-chief, the CDF. There is a commander-in-chief and the president, but there is also de facto vice president, and because these others are just... and the deputy appointing authority is the General Saleh. And also the senior advisor, the in charge of operational creation. So, clearly that shows how vulnerable our political parties are. Now, let us also not be childish. The debate for transition is ripe, but some people are saying we're going to have transition, we're going to have succession. So the succession debate is on. Now, with succession debate on, the timing is so ugly. There was no clarity after 2021 election on the issue of transition and succession. So we are entering another election. After the mess of 2021, 2026 roadmap is ready both by political parties and by the Electoral Commission. So the question you should be asking yourself, does the Civic group, the former DP group, still need an umbrella to come to parliament? Because right now the stampede in Ugandan politics is, for me, I'm speaking in national dialogue with my fellow panelists, but people are looking for how to come back. So let us not get lost into that so-called big debate of political parties, because they are not political parties as far as I'm concerned. People are now looking at which special purpose vehicle is. So the umbrella, the Mwanyi Move, was a special purpose vehicle to bring people to parliament today. That was done, like a doctor uses a glove to do what he wants and can throw it away. So it is even possible that Noop got to know that Mpuuga and his team may form another party. So he decides to strike first, but in a very stupid manner. I'm sorry to use this English. I'm a son of a head teacher, but and an Anglican and that. But I'm just, the vocabulary diction picking is just. So instead, he has smashed. He used the hammer to smash a house fly on his screen. Yet it is raining.
It's broken the screen.
He has broken the screen. So you can see it is no longer just Mpuuga. So clearly, you have seen Mpuuga came with DP, Mpuuga came with Umwami Wakabaka, Mpuuga came as a Catholic high priest. So the Catholic Church is asking, are we still with you? Masaka, Mukungwe is asking, Wanabudu, are we still with you? DP is asking, you have heard even the guys who had kept quiet, had forgotten about Mavike. They are all up in arms. So clearly, the debate has gone away. So Noop has to be very careful, and I want to agree with Doctor. If they want to become political parties are an institution. I agree, it's the best way we are supposed to move into pluralism and multipartism. An institution has structures. An institution has seniority, cadre development, research department. They must have processes.
With
Conflicts.
with the right of
Conflicts
appeal.
are normal. Contradictions are normal.
With the right
But
of appeal.
how you
so you
develop-
can't put
Yes.
a top organ.
In political
so that
science.
interfere.
Yes.
An organ must have a right of
Exactly.
appeal.
Yes.
So you can't say a top organ sat one day, 24 hours, resign. Then where should an aggrieved party appeal?
So where do you appeal? So there's different structures. Before even the top organ sitting, this matter should have been brought by a lower level. A lower level, then it is processed through middle levels, then it comes to the top. But when you say it is the top, it means that there was a sanction the principal wanted to do and use the top organ to execute it. So it shows you that how inept, how impotent, Noop. Of course, we can't blame them. as I said, NUP is a spontaneous formation. We as government, we as NRM, we had not expected to have any semblance of opposition by 2021. So NUP is also a resistance of its own, is also a defiance of its own. It's spontaneous. So there is no mentoring, there is no institution building. They are only 3 years old. These guys went to the polls 3 months old.
Yeah.
You see, even the panic in the military when you saw the shooting and whatever happened, it was out of panic. Nobody expected this formation to come. So this formation was a surprise, and we don't have... Now, it is not only NUP in panic. Sarah has elaborately put the case of FDC. You can no longer say there was FDC when even its founder is not there. You have heard Semuju saying he's on the street. Now, our NRM. For a very long time, we have not had a so expanded meeting of the party. You've heard Namialo saying he sympathizes with those who think Moses is going to stand when the president is standing. You can imagine. People are disagreeing between the father and the son. Now, who am I, me from Buliisa, to even start putting my view there? I have even read something when I was here waiting that Natasa has also said he has no problem with the brother. The other, Natasa Karugire.
Meaning what?
I think people are imputing that possibly Natasa may also have an intention.
To do what?
I said to do what? The days of going to the bush to fight to become a president are over. You can sit over a cup of tea and become a candidate. But also we know on the other side, the Ruabogo team is moving, saying the candidate is there. So the confusion is total. Don't even talk of opposition. The confusion is total.
Yes.
The president in the last meeting at Chadondo, where he had not come for so long, you saw the message. The old man is still on the on the ballot. But Pilau is moving very fast. Pilau has structures. Whereas for me, I thought that strategically, the birthday boy was moving around the country to remove this youth movement into NUP, which I think he successfully did. But by moving to the whole country and getting people there and forming structures, the guy feels he's of age. And by the way, Muhoz is not a young man. I think he's 50 now. He started the first birthday was 48. So I think the very next birthday is 50 or 51, I'm not sure.
He's older than me.
Yes, so even to start calling some of these leaders, not Chagulani, not Muhoz is a youth. Actually, I was talking to another forum before I came here. The youth would rather sponsor their own youth. But unfortunately, the youth, like the women we are going to discuss, are better off going to beg to the principal to give them, and then they start pulling her down, fighting each other. The youth, I think they should look for manifestos, not for individuals, because none of the candidates so far is the youth anyway.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ojambo, you listen to these. When you look at the conflicts we have today in the country and these political parties, is it in the nature of politicians' stories find conflicts, but to fail to resolve them diplomatically and systematically?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I'll pick a background from what we discussed last time when we were looking at political parties generally. You need to look at the foundations on which these political parties are built. Are they really political parties? And my answer then was that they are not political parties. These are special interest or purpose vehicles. They help people to reach where they want to go. And in Uganda, it is power, including NRM. And this one I have always argued with the people. Those who want, they can come and we go academically. NRM is not a political party. It's a special purpose vehicle for the president to cling on power. And these others have also emulated NRM. They don't come with a program, with a project to build a political party. Because where have you seen, for example, NUP opening a headquarter. Political parties are supposed to have headquarters in different parts, branches in different parts of the country. We only have a headquarter in Kavule, and that is it. No activities are in Kavule.
They don't have
Have you heard anywhere that they have a branch here, or a branch in Gulu, or a branch in Bukomansimbi, or wherever? Have you heard? If they have just a small mobilization house. So they are not up to creating. Of course, the system does not allow them. But I've not even seen them also make attempt. For example, if NUP leaders open the branches in their districts, who would stop them?
Doctor, recently we had a countrywide tour of the party president.
Did you see any branch being launched and the leadership of that branch being announced to the country?
They
They
did open offices, and they have regional heads. You have the Honourable Zedriga from the north and coordinating that particular part of the country.
Honourable Zedriga came before NUP got where it is. She has been there. So you can't tell me that that movement was to create the Zedrigas. I tell you, for me, when I am teaching students about political parties, the structures, the features of political parties, that they have branches. So that, for example, we do now be hearing what Sarah was saying. This branch of this place rejects this idea or endorses this idea. That's how political parties work. So is FDC and these others. They are only special purpose vehicles during election. After election, they go back to their branch, and because they are redundant at the branch, they have to fight. Two, when you look at problems in political parties, all of them have conflicts, and I've always said this, including NRM. In fact, NRM has a lot of problems. The only problem is that NRM has a cushion of the state. The state manages its conflict. If you are disgruntled, they call you, they take you to they call it Dubai exhibition. You come back a very happy man, you leave those things of fighting. If you have a problem, they appoint you RDC, and you keep quiet. If you have a problem, they can just put you at the headquarters. And you stay there, and you have a pickup to take you at home and return you home. So you start imagining, why should I continue? So they have that they have that way. Now these other political parties don't have that luxury. Now for the purpose of DP and others, DP was infested by a disease called Mao. Once they elected Mao in Mbale, that was a disease that some of us saw that was going to eat that DP. Because Mao was not a popular candidate of DP. He's a man who used his tricks and weakness of Sebagara, and he was carried. In fact, Mao was carried there by that group which is now fighting him. With the exception of Namboze and a few others. But some of them, the Mbides, they helped that man to go there, and now he became a disease. FDC, the biggest problem of FDC was a subset of NRM. So it carried NRM tendencies into its party. So it was not very clear. Some people, they were not very clear whether they have left government. That's why up to today people think that some members, former members of FDC, are CMI members. Because when they were walking on the street, this walk to work, there are some men who would not be caned. They would reach a certain man, they skip him, they go and cane the other one. If anybody shows me any picture where Mugisha Mutu was bundled on a pickup and taken to any police post, you give me that and I will.
But information, Dr. Ojambo.
Yes.
Of late, it is the Najana Nkumbi which is enjoying all the security.
No, what I am telling
the
you.
Katonga are being
what
whipped,
I am telling you.
But the other guys,
the DP went. The
Maimuko, Nandala, and his friends
FDC went into its party because you know FDC was a splinter group of NRM. People who broke away from the NRM. They started with the PAFO, then FDC. So it was very difficult to deal with
Doctor, for purposes of information, Muntu has been manhandled, but by police twice publicly. In Mbale, during the free and fair campaign, and Kabare when he was dragged out of the studio. There's a popular club, clip where he keeps saying, be careful of how you use your authority, because you will be out of that uniform.
I agree.
Actually, what I wanted
Maybe
to add,
I've not seen that.
Muntu is a general.
But during walk to work, it's true they saluted him.
No, yeah,
So that one is
he was a
true.
general and a former commander in chief, a commander, CDF. So that respect in the military, you can't wish it.
But what about Besige, who was one of the first colonels of NRM?
A colonel, but not
and
a
political
general,
commission,
and not a
commissar.
CDF. Not a CDF.
So for me.
By the way, you get
And for me-
get Muntu's speech on Viraro's desk. If you get that clip, the FDC mistreated.
Honourable, me, I don't want
By
to.
suspecting him
I
to
don't
be-
want to go where that
be
they
a mob.
mistreated. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying. FDC was a branch of NRM, so it carried some NRM tendencies.
A branch or a breakaway?
A breakaway.
Yeah.
So that's what Museveni calls buyekera. You could not understand it very well. It had some buyekera way of doing things. And up to today, if you look at senior party members of FDC, now none of them is there. None of them. The senior, the ones who started FDC, who were the pillars of FDC, they don't declare that they left the party. They are also not doing anything. They are just quiet, watching, with the exception of Sabit, who has come back now as the chairperson. So that is that. Now let's arrive in NUP. NUP had its own unique way of coming up. As he said, it was a spontaneous movement. They didn't even sit down to draft this and come up with memoranda and so on. In fact, NUP later only bought a ticket to become a political party from the other man, Chivalama. They did not sit to form a party. They were a pressure group, people power. Now they find themselves, and that's why some of us even prayed. We don't have NSA. Prayed that they don't become a political party. They remain a pressure group. They support people, but they wanted a presidential candidate. And for me, I was saying, why doesn't it stand as independent? Because once you become a political party, there are some political party tenets that you are supposed to follow. Now, NUP became a political party, but is still behaving like a pressure group. Yeah. And that's what Sarah was talking about. No proper structures of handling issues. They think that when there is a problem, you rush on a radio and you announce. My friend, political parties, there was need even to ask branches, to ask members, to ask people to come up with a decision like that. Because Mpuuga is not any member of the party. Is the president, vice president, Buganda region. It is only in Buganda where NUP has MPs.
Majority.
Where are others?
Busoga.
Maybe in Bugisu, one, Busoga, some few, and that's where it stops. So majority are from Buganda. So you need to handle him properly. So for me, I don't agree with that. Mpuuga's problem started with the 500 million shillings. Mpuuga has always been having a rift with his principal. And that rift began a long time ago. Remember the constitutional amendment process, which they were. Mpuuga organized, then Mpuuga did not attend, even in the meeting. At that time, he created a travel and he went away. Mpuuga wanted to take the conference in Munyonyo. They rejected. And later, they met in Munyonyo without him. So that showed you that there was a lot of problem. Now look at it is not only Mpuuga alone. Look at Segona. Look at what he's saying in public. Look at Mwanga Chivumbi. Hear what he's saying in public. Namboze with fear. Namboze these days is very fearful because when she says they really attack her and she's in trouble. So all the Suvi group that joined NUP have been regarded as elitist group, and therefore the foot soldiers have been on the principal's toes to remove them. In fact, this just came as a spark. And as Sarah said, he misused it. He misused it because already Mpuuga had been removed from a leader of opposition. And very many people were not happy with it, only that they didn't have what to do. Now, when you say Mpuuga has stolen 500, and then you say, get out of the commissioner, how are they related? Why don't you punish him? Why don't you hand him to the DPP? Or if it is a corruption thing, why didn't Bobby Wine hand him to the IGG to investigate him or any other party? Why do you say, since you were a commissioner and you got gratuity for leader of opposition, get off of this?
Can I add and warn that, like Sarah said, FDC may never be the same again. NUP will never be the same again. And the next election, if you watch the space, Pilau will bring the lead of opposition.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, as you, Pilau may bring a lead of opposition, but me, I think... And
rendering NUP also...
Me, what I think...
Going to misery.
What I
Briefly,
think,
Doctor.
What I think, Pilau is not for this coming election. Pilau is being prepared for the next election.
Members of parliament. Pilau is bringing members of parliament. May not even stand for. But the next leader of opposition, the structures, I told you that now Pilau...
is Pilau a political party? And for
a
the
pressure
benefit
group
of the viewer, Pilau
see,
is the patriotic league of Uganda.
Like he said, people even thought that People Power was going to remain a pressure group and bring MPs. Pilau, whether they bring the presidential candidate or not, they are going to bring so many members of parliament, including some NUP members have already crossed to Pilau. Some NRM members who felt were being blocked by the NRM original are already going to Pilau. So expect around 100 MPs in the next parliament.
Honourable, are you still active in politics?
I am not standing.
Are you coming here?
No. I am not standing. Myself, I'm not standing.
Okay. Thank you so
but
much.
I'm a political analyst. Okay. I can analyze, and in most cases, I have 100% precision. 98 to 100%.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Dr. Sarah, briefly, our time is really fast spent. How do these political parties come back and reorganize and be better, vehicles for democracy in this country?
I am a strong believer of second chances. One, they are not perfect people. They are not perfect human beings. They are also no perfect institutions. But we should always try to create systems. Create a structure, operate by that structure, and process an issue through. So it's good NUP has called NEC to decide. I wish they could then discard proceedings of the top organ. Let NEC process the Mpuuga matter, the parliament matter. And I want to emphasize that it's not just an individual. All members of parliament are aware about the corruption in parliament. So let NUP call all its MPs. Let each of them say what they know and why they kept
including
quiet.
The 100 million?
Yes.
Which the principal addressed
Because
earlier, but
in
was...
December, everybody took the 50. I think there are one or two noisy...
And the balance is being processed now.
Yeah, there are one or two noisy MPs that were ignored.
The
but
balance is being
generally,
paid.
every MP took that Christmas gift. So let NUP process all the corruption in parliament, not just one issue. Then as they process, let them get a report of the lower organ, so that if there is an aggrieved party, they can appeal to the top organ. And let also the principal be the last one to speak, not the first.
Thank you so much. Let the principal be the last.
Meanwhile, NRM is warning them that they are coming back to NRM.
Honourable Mukitale, briefly in a minute, how do these political parties reorganize and become better vehicles?
It has to be intentional. It has to be deliberate. Unfortunately, I don't see that intention. I don't see that energy. I don't see that mobilization. That's why, for me, I offered them long ago. On the very day Uganda proclaimed to have gone multi-party under the Katubejeko spirit, I said it's a futile attempt. I said this is a miscarriage of pluralism. We should have first of all wound up NRM, which has a military wing, which has the budget, which NRM can use to bring everybody to order, carrot and stick. You either are denied the resources if you seem to dissent, or given resources if you want to conform. So we missed an opportunity of a national dialogue, a national truth and reconciliation, a comprehensive consideration in 2005. To have expected the political parties which in Italia for 20 years had been castrated, for lack of a better word, to have also, for us as cattle keepers, you don't castrate and expect a castrated bull to deliver. There is only the other one which has been the one you think is the right one. And that's why I'm bringing in this Pilau being the leader of opposition. It means in the next political dispensation, it will be NRM senior of Mzee and the Pilau now in charge of agenda setting in the political system. And that is unfortunate.
God forbid.
That's very dangerous for a country. But I can see it happen. I can see it happen.
Honourable, thank you so much.
I can see it happen by my, I try to decipher, I try to discern issues. And I see that's where we are going. Because the money Pilau is having, Nupu doesn't have it. Pilau has money, candidates who are going to go for these youth positions. Not only MP, they are going for district places.
What is
they are going for sub-counties.
Honourable Mukitale.
You don't have to ask. I have told you the money is there. I have seen the money. You've seen the parties they have thrown for birthdays. You've seen the parties wherever they have their conventions. By the way, the functions are still going on. They have put structures now for regions. They are now going for district structures. So they are even bringing district leaders.
In fact, what he is saying, you see, during those days, it would be Museveni moving around the country, canvassing his support here. He has now left that to that thing of his. I don't want to mention it. So it is the one doing. Where Museveni used to get money is where it is getting money.
The mobilization.
Thank you so much. Honourable Mukitale, thank you so much. Briefly, Dr. Ojambo, in a minute, the political parties, how do they reorganize?
I think I gave that recommendation last time. I said political parties need to borrow from how Kenya runs its politics. Because we have seen that the infrastructure in these poor countries does not support the growth of political parties. They don't have resources. They are dealing with the military junta. So they need to, these political parties can only be there to create some leadership, to be incubation centers of leaders. But these leaders at the time of election should form pressure groups. And those pressure groups should not be predictable and should be for a purpose of that vote. After that time, that is what can weaken these military juntas, because pressure groups are not predictable. And that's why sometimes you want to say, if Pilau did not come from the other DNA, it would be welcome. But the problem, the bad DNA of beating up people, of doing those things, of stealing is a bad thing. That's why for Pilau you want to say, I want to use Sarah's word, God forbid.
Thank you so much.
In Kenya, there are election coalitions.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Former enemies.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, time won't allow extra conversation about the Pilau conversation. We want to shift in the final minutes to every 8th of March is the International Women's Day, and here we are, the International Women's Day. Dr. Sarah, We have the privilege of having about 3 ladies in the studios, though you can only see one. Take us to the celebration. We all know the International Women's Day. We are celebrating our mothers. We are celebrating the achievements of ladies in the world. We are celebrating our sisters and everyone. What is that specific reason today in 2024 that we should be celebrating the Women's Day in a country like Uganda?
Well, thank you very much, Philip. On this panel as you were talking, I see, are we still on a third? If you add the moderator, it is less than a third. And in the room, we have 3 ladies and 4
Almost
gentlemen.
there. Almost.
We've
Okay,
done a good job.
it's not
Yeah,
bad
it's Civic
because
Space
the
TV.
ladies are behind the machines. They are doing the work traditionally seen as for men. It's progress for the girl child. Yes. Yeah, but you know, the theme for this year's Women's Day is invest in women, accelerate progress. When you look at the economic empowerment of women, which was a part of the 12 concerns under the Beijing Platform of Action 28 years ago, but also under the Maputo Protocol enacted 20 years ago, you see that the battle or the struggle for gender equality is always, you know, caught up in the poverty, non-care work, low pay for women, and the women who are drawn from workspaces to raise children, or those who choose to become housewives, or those who it's not a choice. Automatically they have to keep the home, and the domestic care work is unpaid for. So as we celebrate one lies, because I don't think we are yet to celebrate economic progress, if you look at the players in the big leagues in terms of economic entrepreneurs, we have 10% out of the Fortune 500. These are the top world entrepreneurs. And the women are still less than a third. I know we have the president of IMF as a woman, but then when you go to the World Bank and other Bretton Woods institutions, what's the range of the women? We have had a finance minister once as a woman under the NRM regime, and I think before there was none. So in our independent Uganda, we've had one minister of finance. If you look at the economic powerful economic institutions, I don't think private sector foundation has had a head as a woman. Uganda Manufacturers Association had the rise of Murana's daughter who could have...
Are they not 2 ministers?
Who is the other?
Mutagamba
and Saida Bumba. Thank you so much. Saida Bumba was also, yes. So there are 2 under NRM, both of them. So when you look at the economic journey of women, the elite women are making slight progress in the powerful boardrooms, in the entrepreneurship sphere, and in the small and medium income enterprises. When you go to the economic interventions specific for women, they are usually in a micro form, PDM, grow maize, then maize has no price, grow vegetables, the women can grow cabbage, sukuma wiki, you know, and these are government interventions, micro. We need to move away from that, in line with that clause 13 and 19 of the Maputo Protocol on specific gender interventions to get the woman out of the trenches of poverty. Generally, we know other people can say they are struggling. Also, the other issue that women need to reflect on is the conduct of an empowered woman in a home. We want to have both worlds. I'm empowered, gender equality, some women earn more than men, but I'm a helper when it comes to sorting what? Bills. I am a helper. So we cannot have it both ways. I cannot want to sit in the boardroom and then still be a traditional woman who is a supportive role. Sorry, the banks are calling. Sorry, the banks. We should see this equality in the economic decisions of a home.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah Bireete, and very important to notice we should see the equality in the economics, the equality in the politics of the home and everywhere.
That's a very, I'm shaking a table with expensive drinks.
Dr. Ojambo.
We need to walk that talk as women.
Yes, Women's Day. One of the conversations that come out is that, like she says, women want this equality. We are the same as men, but they are not ready to pull that chair for the man to sit. They are not ready to open the car door for their man to enter the car. How do we talk to our sisters, to our girls? What message do you have to encourage them to see that it is not simply about you getting privilege, it also involves responsibility as a woman?
You know, that was very good to come from Sarah.
Yes.
For me, if I said that, people will misunderstand. But when Sarah is saying it, you really feel it, that privileges should come with responsibility. That's in brief what she said. But I will end with that. Let me first give you just my brief background. You see, the struggle for women emancipation was set itself. The conditions of the world have created it. At first, even in the civilized communities that you know about, they did not, you may think that this is an African thing. In America, until 1960, people did not think that a woman can also go and vote.
Yeah.
Until 1960.
Even Europe.
So America is the oldest democracy that we have, okay, if you left the Greek states, but until 1960. But
And can you add 1960 was almost 170 years of American Constitution?
Yes.
So for 170 years, women never voted.
Yeah. So the World War, after the end of the World War in 1945, women are the ones who remained at home. And they took over a lot of things in Europe and ran the homes and ran theater. Some of the theaters in hospital were being run by women because men had been taken by force to go and fight. It is then that people started realizing that, I think man is created equal. But this could not remove the ideology that was created in people up to 1960. Up to today, in the United States of America, Americans still believe that a woman cannot be their president. I remember during the Clinton debate, people were openly saying that, and these are guys where university has been there for 800 years. So in Africa, we need to be very, very glad that we are moving with long strides. Because if those civilizations things were that up to 1960, education catches fire in Africa here in the 1950s. That's when we start getting the first woman going to study in higher institution of learning, 1960, 1970, and recently 2000s. So what am I saying? There are certain things that any government, any group of people, if they want to empower women, they should not come on the talk show like this and say them. Let's just improve the education system. Because these girls, once you sit them in a good class with the good boys, they will. I used to have a girl in primary school. The girl gave me a hard time. In primary school, hard time. I wanted to be number one, but once in a while she would dethrone me. But you know what happened? When she finished P7, she could not continue to S1 because they did not have school fees at home. So if there was a system to support that girl, she would be a professor like me, or even better than me, doing better things. So number one, let's improve on the education system. This business of deceiving us with this UPE, which does not move is a lie. We need to improve education. This morning I was in a school in Namungona. I will not mention it for its security. The other thing is not a school. It is supposed to be condemned, but I counted majority of the people there were girls.
What's wrong with the school?
Because
They're low cost.
it is terrible. It is low cost. So when they are taking people to school, they say, let the girl go to Namungona, that school. I don't want to mention its name. So education system. The other thing that affects women more than men is the health sector. Of course, men also die. But women, in addition to disease, they have another function of reproduction. And you know how many women we have lost in that exercise. Because that even affects their well-being in nature. So we need to improve the health sector. The other thing that we need to improve is the source of water for girl children in our villages. Many of our girls have gotten problems while going to fetch water in a swamp, in these things. So we need to improve these things.
And fetching food.
So this business of PDM, I don't know what, I want to swear that is not going to help women to empower. You need to work on systems that deal with education, systems that deal with health, systems that deal with the general welfare of society, building roads, water sources, and water view. Then women will emerge naturally. And I want to tell you that once women have emerged in any society, I can tell you, Sarah, for all old men who are out there who have girl children who have succeeded, they are better parents. They are better parents. I see it with my sisters. What my sisters offer to my family is far better what I offer. Women normally mind about their family.
And the details.
And they go for details. For us, we mind about men. I don't know Mukitale, but let me speak for myself. We mind a lot about our home and our in-laws' home.
Thank you so much, and that is really very powerful for the empowerment of the girl child. And since you mentioned that, we salute the activities of Anthony B. Johnson in the United States. You talked about it. Honourable Stephen, Women's Day. How best can we help the girl child from the Namungona school Dr. just talked about, from Kitgum, from Buliisa, from wherever in this country?
We want to celebrate our mothers. I'm an educationist. I have seen mothers more responsible for school fees, for visitations, than fathers.
True.
Money which goes to women, even as a politician, I have worked with women groups. So one time they were saying, Honourable gives money to churches and mostly women. Why doesn't he give us money in bars and what? I tell them that when I give a women group money, they can buy books, pens, good basic soap at home, even cooking oil. But when you give men money, it will end up in bars, it will end up in these Man U, Arsenal competitions. That's where their money goes. So we don't need a lot of debate on the role of a mother. So most of the people who have gone through our difficult education system, which is very expensive, it is mothers responsible. Even the health care of children, men go out in nomadic jobs, whether they are fishermen, cattle keepers, whether they are builders. It is the woman who is at home there. These days there is this thing, the kameza, the so-called kameza. The kameza is so little compared to the burdens the woman has at home, where I have added issues of school and even now the health care. But before I get lost in the niceties, I have moved around more than 45 districts in the last 6 months, deliberately. I go to markets, I go to small trading centers, I see the agro-produce, the challenges of bumper harvest without price. Honourable Sarah and the women movement, do you know all these women in markets and trying to be entrepreneurs are working for money lenders.
True.
Do you know that?
We know. I did a research on that.
The money lenders are taking more than 60% of these women's sweat in a year. How can a woman in the village borrow money at exorbitant 20%
interest
per month? 20% per month means 240, and it is incremental. It goes to 300.
And a surcharge of 1% per day defaulted.
All these women you are seeing busy in all these markets, in all districts of Uganda, are working for money lenders. And money lenders are in every parish. PDM hasn't reached every parish, but money lenders at every parish. Every parish in Uganda has a money lender.
Can I complement that?
Please.
I have seen how circles have increased prostitution. The desperation of women when they are looking for that weekly contribution, they can even sleep with a goat. It's so dehumanizing.
And for me, I have supported some circles, and I am for those circles. Because the good thing with circles and revolving fund, the money goes back to them. There is no exploiter. But a money lender is a middleman. He's taking away their sweat. Now, I want to celebrate. NRM gave affirmative action. We gave 1.5 marks for girls long ago.
Yes, we have
so
in the last graduation, we had
Yes.
53% girls.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We have reached a level of equal men to women. Fantastic. I want to thank the president. Sarah has ably talked about, we have now have 2 finance ministers. We have had 2 vice presidents, women. Yeah. We have a speaker woman, a prime minister woman. My major concern is I would want to see the translation of these numerical numbers of women MPs, women councillors, into programs and projects and budgets for a girl child. I don't see that.
Honourable, some information.
Yes.
Beyond the gender and statistics, we want quality.
So for me, I want to see how my president has used women. All the big cabinet posts are for women. I hope you know.
Yes.
Energy, all powerful posts, including the gender. Education is in the year too. I don't want to go into details. So how do we fail to get women issues, girl child issues, reach the president? Like the one of education I've been talking about, how the Badamin and Obote, a girl child never paid school fees.
It is the worst.
And the first lady is the minister
Of education.
of education, meaning that overnight, every night, she can whisper 5 times the need of
You know that fees. Is an irony. Those days when there was no affirmative action, there is no girl who got 4 or the highest grade, because those days they were not 4, they were marks, they would do total marks. There is no girl who got 360 and lacked where to go and study, because the district had a system, scholarship, the village had scholarship, and there were scholarships all over the place.
The kingdoms,
now they are not there.
The kingdoms had, and that's why for me, I'm an advocate of regional governments which work with cultural institutions. Because Miate Kasaija tells you, without Bunyoro Kingdom, he wouldn't be there. He's a BCom, went to Kenya, but he was funded by Bunyoro Kingdom. The first Bugungu Buliisa woman graduate is my auntie. That time the problem was not fees, because within the kingdom and the system of cooperators, they didn't lack money. The problem was early marriage. Those beautiful girls, brilliant girls, people wanted to marry them off in junior school and in secondary school. So for me, I really want to request, celebrating is okay. There are so many good achievements, but there are embarrassing things where we have not used the big numbers of women in this powerful position to make some problems. Why do we still talk of lack of pads at this point in time? Can't government make sure that in this zone of every region that some pads are being produced at every level? That girls run out of school because they are embarrassed of being. And because of that, a shopkeeper, a boda who buys a pad becomes a husband. So we have achievement to celebrate, yes, but a lot of work has to be done for us to celebrate the women emancipation.
Thank you so much. And we've come to the end of the show. I think I'll request Dr. Sarah to just talk to us how we should celebrate this day as men, but also how the young girls out there should celebrate it as we close the show.
Well, first of all, I'm a believer that every day should be good. So men should treat women in their lives very well. Women by nature love pampering, but under the equality principle, I also know that pampering should also be two-way. So I'm not saying that it's a preserve of women. Our day to be spoiled, and then there are several activities. So men should find a way of spoiling the women in their lives. You can either take them for lunch if you can't cook. Because most men, either you, cooking is beautiful, but it's not that everybody enjoys it. So the families should do what they enjoy most.
You know, when I read
together
the facial expression of Dr. Ojambo about
you
cooking,
think he doesn't know how to cook?
Incidentally, my friend, me, I'm a firstborn. There is nothing feminine that I did not do.
Sure.
Cooking, carrying children, I am an expert. Where in my family, they know me. If the child has become impossible, they give it to me.
Yes. So the families should do what they enjoy together, but they should be that spoiling, that pampering, whatever makes them happy. But most importantly, let's improve the welfare of the girl child. Let's make lives of women better.
Thank you so much. And I think very important, I should ask the other women in the room to just come and wave at the ladies.
So the ladies, we are waiting for you.
Please, just wave
Join
at
us.
our audience as
Join us and face the cameras.
it is you, it is your day, it is your month. Please.
Just pass on the side.
You
Can
can
come back.
Yes, and they come here and they,
Yeah, those are the powerful women behind the cameras.
it is the team making things happen at Civic Space TV, and we celebrate.
But
you.
also,
Thank you
that
so
gives
much.
us a message. We have pampered the girl child so much, and we have forgotten they may get a bad boy child. We have forgotten the man behind there. He should also join. I don't know how
It must
if it is
do
possible.
quality control.
yeah, by the way, next time.
My Archbishop is worried. We have forgotten the boy child.
Let him come.
The girls may get married.
Next time we
Please.
need
Point
to also discuss how women emancipation is affecting the boy child.
Sure, sure. So the man that is
Yeah,
contributing to the
we
management.
shouldn't create a reverse
The quiet man there.
Yes,
We
and
shouldn't. So we
training.
can clap for them.
So thank you so much. We appreciate the work you do for us here,
Thank
and
you.
our audience is really excited to see you. And thank you so much. Now, gentlemen and ladies, it's been an amazing show, the Citizens Church on Civic Space TV. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Robert Ojambo. Thank you so much, Dr. Honourable Mukitale
I
Stephen,
should
for
go
being
back to
with
school
us.
and get married.
You should. And lastly, the lady, Dr. Sarah Bireete, thank you so much for being with us during the show, and happy Women's Day to you and to all the women out there viewing Civic Space TV. Remember, this is made possible by the Center for Constitutional Governance. Special thanks to the team you've just seen behind us, and we want to say good evening and may you have freedom always.